This video is going to show how you can add your own buttons to your SmartRemote instead of using the system-generated list. Open your index page. Click on the edge of the endless list component and drag it off to the right until you are ready to delete it. I always keep the defaults until I have finished creating something new, because I may discover that it works or looks better after I'm done. Grab a button, and in the button properties, design what you would like your button to look like. I think I am going to make this button transparent with an icon in the center, and keep the default border. If you want to use your own icons for your buttons, add them to the Images folder for your SmartRemote project. Under the label image, click to navigate to an image. I have a few in here as examples. Hio's is a good one, so I will select that. Be sure to do a save refresh so that the icon will appear in the button. You can choose a position for your icon from the drop-down. The center makes the most sense here. Make sure you have the Maintain Aspect Ratio checked before you resize the image. I am going to make this 120 by 120. I also need to increase the size of the button. You can add a label in several ways. First would be the main label field for the button, under text formatting. Here you can align it and offset it using the label top padding. Again, center makes the most sense here. I am going to put the label on the bottom using the top padding. Next, you can also use the caption text formatting to add a label or second label. While you can position this using a vertical and/or horizontal offset, there are currently no quick text alignment options. Let's add the living room as a header. You can center it by site, although if the text ever changes via an inserted variable, it may not be aligned. This labeling feature is still very useful in particular instances. The third option is to create a separate label or button. To show this option, I will copy and paste this button and remove the text. I am going to use a label instead of a button underneath here since I do not want it to be clickable. The quickest way to find center is to make the label the same width as the button and align. Adding separate labels is just fine to do, but you always have to keep extra attention to positioning. They can get misaligned easily. After you decide your preferred layout, you can program the button to launch your activity. We do this by going to the command section and typing in the activate source command. To find your command, you can jump over to the dashboard and select macros from the management drop-down. I want to use this button to activate HEOs in the living room, so I will edit this and copy the name of the macro. Now I will go back and paste it in my command field and click Save. I also want to add a living room label to my second button layout here. You can type in the words directly like the first example, or use the HEO's name variable. You can find this by going to Applets under Management. Click on HEOs. Then find the living room and expand the list of variables by clicking on the arrow all the way to the left. Scroll down until you find the name variable in the list. Edit and copy. In order to use one label instead of two, you can use a BR between greater and less than symbols to create a line break. After this symbol, paste in the name variable. Next, you need to increase the height of the label field. Just a note, we think it is better to use the server variable in the event the name gets changed at some point. You will not have to update it in any of your labels as it will be done automatically. Now that I have two different looks, I think I may remove the border on the second one. If you do this, you need to make sure not to overlap the transparent buttons. To add more buttons to your page, you can just copy and paste the current ones you created and edit them. Now the question is, how do we make this a scrolling list? The first step in doing this would be to create a new overlay for the project and call it something that will represent what it is to you. For me, that would be Overlay Index. Once created, you can go back to your index page and copy all of the buttons that you created. Next, go back to your newly created overlay and paste them in. Hold the Shift down and arrow up once and to the left once to put it into the correct position. Save when you are done. Now you can go back to your index page and delete the buttons you created. Next, drag and drop a scrolling section from the component pop-out onto the scene. You can align it below the header and size it to fit the page where you want to see your buttons appear. An important note. You do not need to lay out your buttons on the index page first. You can start by creating the overlay first. This will save you the copying and pasting. It's just preference on how you would like to do it. When it is in the position you would like, double-click, and at the bottom you will see a section called Content from External Overlay. Here you want to grab the overlay index that we just created. Since this overlay is going to scroll up and down, we need to check Enable Vertical Scrolling. Save when you are done. Now let's launch this page to see how everything appears. As you can see, the buttons are sitting too low on the page. Let's go back to the overlay index and move all the buttons up by doing a Select All. Note that the top of the frame coincides with the top of the scrolling section. Let's launch again to see the new placement. This looks good, so now I can go back and edit one of the other buttons. Let's make a button go to the weather page. First, let's change the label and image. Now resize the icon. It actually has an interesting look the way it is, but let's resize. Now we need a client command to have the button open the weather page. If you recall from the buttons part 2 video, that would be load scene, pipe, weather. Now let's launch this one more time. That is it for this video. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more. Thanks for watching.